Namaste students. We are here for our second session on the poem The Lake of Isle Innisfree by W.B. Yeats. In our first session, in the session of introduction, we have talked about the poetic career of W.B. Yeats, different phases of his life, different features of his writing. Now in this phase, in this scene, we are going to connect the emotion and experience and the special product that the poem. Before that, we have to trace back the extraordinary features of the poet, because I told in that particular session that the poet has undergone different challenges. Rather, it was chaotic, because he has seen that Ireland was always under the threat of colonization. He has seen it. He understood very categorically that militarily it's going to be very difficult to defend. So they need to get a way out. And literature, culture, tradition, these things are going to be the strong instruments to get an escape. From that aspect, we have to look back. Not only this, another important feature that we need to talk about W.B. Yeats, that he was very much concerned about his old age. That is called gerontology. He thought that when agility will not be there, what would be his activity? What difference he could make at that point of time? So he was very much concerned. Rather, he was cramped by this idea. And this poem, it also bears a texture of that passion. Even though it's not fully tinged with that thought, that view, or that kind of intrepidation inside. But after all, it bears a situation. I have mentioned one phrase that he's just like any new poet who aspires to be different, who wants to voice something new. What new he can make in this world, what difference he could make in this world. So that propels his mindset all the time. And that talks about the modern. He is modern in all senses, because every time he wants to be modern, what changes the world has initiated, and he wants to acclimatize with that situation. That talks about modernity. So we have to get back, even though still there is a sense of contradiction over here. What kind of contradiction? I have just shared that he was very much concerned, he was very much bothered, he was patched up with an idea that what he's going to do when he's going to be aged. If you read Sailing to Byzantium, where he has mentioned this country is not meant for old men, perhaps he has included himself as one of the old men in that group. So old man, he is in tattered coat. He is in a tattered coat. It doesn't fit. It doesn't match him, but still he has to wear this. Perhaps he's talking about his body, physical body. This skin also looks like a dress that covers all the internal organs. We wear dress to cover up our external organs. Skin is such a dress that also encapsulates our internal organs. So he talks about tattered coat. So even though it's written at the initial phase of his life, but it also talks about a longing to go back. Why? Because he has seen, I have shared that he is a poet of transition. Romantic phase, it's going to be over, and it's a phase, it's a dawn of modernization. Dawn of modernization. It's the morning of modernization. So he has to acclimatize. He has to be very much adept, because he has to adapt it. So without adaptation, it's going to be very difficult to stay in such a strong challenge where there is a competition. And immediately, the world is getting ready for another massacre, that is World War I. So these are the phases, these are the incidents that take a huge role in the life of W.B. Yeats. So what I'm trying to say, that romantic phase, it's going to be over, and modernization just on the threshold. It is there. It's waving his hand. that I'm there. So modernization talks about urbanization. Cultivation is over. Farming is over. Now we are talking about construction, urbanization. City comes in. There is a phrase by William Cowper. God made the city and we made the town. So the concept of town comes in, creeps in human civilization. So it's going to be very grayish. It's not a positive symbol for the poet. Everywhere there is a structure, and structure. There is no nature. There is no softness. There is no sympathy from nature. There is no esoteric beauty of nature. Everything is spoiled. Everything is damaged. Everything is shattered and battered. Everything that he looks, it's tilted, it's swayed. That's the condition of the poet. And he wants to go back to his village. He wants to go back in the lap of nature. That's the longing. He longs to go back. And which is the place? Innisfree, where he wants to be free. Think about the name, Innisfree. It's a free place in the lap of nature where he feels that he's liberated. He's not chained. He's not changed by the customs of society. He's not chained by the strange rules of urbanization or civilization. And rather he wants to play in the lap of nature just like a child, just like the animals. What do they do in the forest? Nobody cares. They're free. So it's a longing by the poet. The lake of Isle is free. And it's the place, it's situated just by the lake. It adds beauty to nature. It talks about the pristine beauty, majestic beauty of nature. And true it is. The moment you visit Himalayas, where there is vicinity of heaven, if you visit those places, you will feel that heaven is not far away from us. It's very close to us. You can touch it. That concept is very much initiated or intricated in one of the poems. The name of the poem is The Heart of the Tree. He says that if you plant a tree, when the tree grows, you feel that heaven is near because it creates a connection with heaven by its height, by its manifold blessings, achievements, attributions. So the poet, he's so much bored in his monotonous, humdrum life that he wants to go back and he wants to be free. It's a desire for everybody. The moment you are living in a city, in a town, you are there for your practical purpose, day-to-day purpose, because you are there, you are doing a job there. But whenever you get a vacation, you feel that we should go back to our own native in the lap of nature so that we can rejuvenate our strength and energy. Therefore, whenever there is a vacation, you are going for a trip. You are traversing the world. That's the intention. So here the lake of Isle is free. The poet is also taking a trip. He wants to escape from that boredom. And the monotony, it's actually haunting him all the time. Haunting him. You know the concept of haunted house. He's getting haunted by the monotony of his life. This is what. Now the poem is actually a lyric. What is lyric? Lyric is a small subjective poem. And small poem, therefore it could be sung. And the word lyric has come from the word lyre. Lyre is an instrument with which you can sing. So with that instrument, with the accompaniment of that instrument, you can sing. So it's a small poem. Again, in literature, there is no strict rule that, okay, how much it's going to be, whether 10 lines, 15 lines, there is no hard and fast, or it is not bound by this. So it's going to be small and it's going to be subjective. Subjective in the sense, you, the writer, will be present there. So I, the pronoun, we, the pronoun, these pronouns, subjective pronouns will be there, and the subject will be there. Author will be present, very much present. You could feel the presence of the author. So that is a lyric. Now, we have to talk about little bit about the substance, about the summary, the quintessential aspect of the poem. I have already initiated. That's the demand. That's the cry for the poet. It's cry. He's wailing. that he wants to go back to nature and he wants to enjoy the free life. Therefore, the name also suggests that. So in the first stanza, the poem is divided into 3 stanzas of 4 lines. The first stanza, he talks about his earnest desire, the urgency, the urge inside that he wants to go back. And what he says, he wants to start a farming, cultivation, and he wants to make a small house. Small, he has mentioned as cabin. The pronunciation is not cabin, it's cabin. So he wants to construct a small house there. And he wants to live with peace. Next, he goes to nature. That when he could see the sunlight, night stars, the birds, this and that, it would bring immaculately peace. Everywhere he will get peace, and peace will drop like water. So it could be so much vivid, palpable, tangible, that you could see that peace is waiting for you. But ultimately in the city, in the town, it never happens. Because of electric towers, mobile towers, all the birds are gone. Because of tall buildings, you cannot see the sky, the blueness of the sky. Everything is gone. There is a famous poem, just I'm repeating in Bangla for your understanding. It says, Dekhe elam dharmotalar more, ek phali chan jhulche electric tare. Again I'm repeating, Dekhe elam dharmotalar more, ek phali chan jhulche electric tare. What does it talk about? Dharmatala, you can understand it's a planet. It's the center of Kolkata, hugely trafficked. It's an official place where all the head branches are there. So tall buildings. So these tall buildings, it has covered the entire sky. There is no aerial aspect. So if you want to see the fragment of moon, you have to see it where there is electric line, because there is an obligation to construct where there is electric line in the vicinity. So therefore you could see the moon only if there is an electric line. That's the ironical statement. It pinches. So that's the condition. So in which age you are living, accordingly you have to behave. It's true. I will tell later on about this aspect. And the third one, the final one, talks about his final desire. That ultimately he is there for peace. What is he expecting? Peace. Material possession, it doesn't make sense. You have car, you have 2 flats, mansions, gold, but ultimately you are devoid of peace. You are devoid of mental easiness. Ultimately it's not going to be your life. Your life is meaningless at that point of time. So even though the poet is in a city, he doesn't want to roam in London. London is a city of tradition. It's a city of culture. But everything appears to be artificial. Everything appears to be fabricated. So much patched up. It is colored externally, not internally. Therefore, he wants to go back to nature where he wants to be free and free. And free, therefore Innisfree. So this is all about the substance or the summary of the poem. Whenever we read the poem, we have to connect it. We have to connect it. The importance of village. The importance of village. The importance of different trips that you are making during vacations. Because throughout the year, you are so much bored with the same thing. You are repeating the same thing on daily basis. Because it's a requirement, you have to do it to stay in this world, to exist in this world. So you are under pressure. It's a compelling situation that you are there and you are pressurized all the time. You are just like a pressure cooker. Anytime you can burst. But if you are in the lap of nature, it gets released. So that's the beauty of nature. And the poet is longing for that. That somehow this city or town, urbanization or civilization, it doesn't give him any peace. And he wants to be free wherever he visits his own childhood place, that is Innisfree. In our next session, we will read the stanzas, and like other sessions, this is my declaration that in my last session, I will try to drag you to a different world where this poem appears to be a new one, and it should be our aim to do it, because the poem is not meant for a substance, not meant for a textual analysis. It aims to give you some extra piece. We have to look for this. Thank you so much. If you have any question, jot it down. We'll solve it. Thank you.